Compact SUVs are all the rage, and with good reason. They offer a nice blend of what you need in an everyday city car. You get a high ground clearance, you get the compact dimensions, and you get the practicality as well. So
hang on Jay, hang on. You cannot talk about compact SUVs without mentioning this, the all-new Kia Sonet.
yes, I know why you're saying that, but this, the Hyundai Venue, is the current segment leader and is the more popular of the two as well.
Well, I do agree to that, but talking about popularity, the Sonet had people talk about it since it was first showcased at the Auto Expo, and the hype has only gotten bigger.
Fine, so what are you suggesting?
Well, I'm saying it's not that long till the Sonet takes that spot of being the segment leader.
That's true, maybe, but you're talking about defeating a Hyundai, and that is already a tall order.
It is quite a challenge for the Sonet, but then look at it, it has an imposing looks.
It's just looks. It is a Hyundai after all. People trust the brand, they know what they offer. It's very easy to trust a Hyundai.
This argument continued for a long time, so we decided to look at each car individually, starting with the design.
Now both these SUVs share a lot in common with each other. They are both built on the same platform, they both get the same powertrain. So it is only the design that differentiates the two. When the Venue was launched, it did really divide opinion. People didn't like the way it looked, and me personally too wasn't a big fan of the way it was styled. But over time it has grown on to me, and I particularly like some of the elements. What do you think?
Oh, I totally agree to that. When I first saw the Venue, I had my reservations about it. You know, that imposing look did not fit everyone's design language. It did not appeal to me as much. But then over time, it has grown on me, and quite a lot of interesting elements to like. I really like how these headlamps have been integrated in the bumper. It's a very interesting touch. And then these sleek DRLs up top give it a very recognizable front end. And that is what I like about the Venue.
Now, especially on this sport trim, I like these red inserts. I like the grille that is blacked out, but the size of the grille is still a problem for me. It just doesn't work, especially when I look at it besides the Sonet. Now this with the tiger nose grille is just fantastic. They've really gone all out on the design, haven't they?
Of course, they have. Look at the Kia Sonet. I really like how Kia has brought down all those design elements and design cues from the concept that was shown at the Auto Expo, and a lot of things to like here. For instance, this chrome surround around the grille, which wears this interesting 3D element. It's a very interesting touch, and a lot of other places that they have added those detail adds to the plushness, adds to the premiumness of the Sonet, and it sure is one good looker.
I totally agree. Me personally, I really like these heartbeat shaped DRLs.
Oh,
they
yes.
really do the job for me, especially as they double up as turn indicators as well. And if you look closer, these headlights, LED of course, unlike the Venue, they are so intricate. There's so much going on there. They are nice and busy. It helps give the whole car a prominent and more imposing front end. So I think it's safe to say that of the two, this has the better front end. Now the side profile is where the Venue regains some points. You know, it just looks like a traditional SUV. Now of course this is the sport variant, which means you get these red inserts, but what also adds to that SUV character are the roof rails. Now, I know they don't make that much of a difference, but it does help. Now the bigger difference is here. After the C-pillar, the Venue definitely looks like a typical SUV, unlike the Sonet, which is too sharply cut and looks like a hatchback. So I think this is what owners would really like.
Agree to that. And again, the sports trim now introduces red brake calipers on the Venue. I particularly like this strong character line that runs across the side of the Venue. Of the two, this one is more prominent. This one has that butch SUV stance.
Now the side profile are where things simmer down slightly for the Sonet. You see, it just doesn't have that typical SUV look that we've seen on the Venue, especially on the C-pillar. Now this is too sharp an ending, I feel, and it doesn't have that nice bulbous curve like we've seen on other SUVs, and I think that's what people might not like.
That's right. And there are a few things that I do prefer on the Venue more than the Sonet, especially with these design of the alloy wheels. Now I do like the ones on the Sonet, but I somehow feel the design on the alloys of the Venues feel a bit more better. A very interesting design element to notice is this A-pillar. While on the Venue, as you mentioned, it's quite upright and it has that strong edge where it meets the roof. On the Sonet, you can see it merges, it has a very nice curve and it merges into the roof. Very nice design to look at, but it misses out on that SUV stance, and that might not be highly appreciated by a lot of customers.
I think so too. I think in terms of SUV-ness, the Venue is more SUV.
Certainly, definitely. Now the rear of the Venue is not as experimental and flashy as the front is, and that's quite a good thing. I do like this Venue insignia splashed across the tailgate and that prominent Hyundai logo. Also likable are these tail lamps, and overall it's quite neat, tidy and simple.
I agree to those points, but personally I feel the Venue is a bit too easy on the eyes. I mean, when you look at the Sonet, which is just so dramatic, especially due to this big reflector strip. Now I wish that lit up as well, but that's not the case. It joins the two tail lamps that also get this heartbeat shape LED. That's very nice, and like I said, it looks like
you like the fake exhaust as well.
Okay, yes, fine, they are fake, but they do go overall with the character of that SUV, and they do add that little bit of sportiness that you expect from a GT line, don't you think?
Oh, well, certainly. It is a very interesting, a lot of design elements, a lot of things going on for the Sonet, but well, I think it all boils down to personal preferences and personal choices.
Now this is the sport trim of the Venue, and what that means is, of course, you get the all black dash and the updated steering like you see on the Creta.
Yep, I agree to that, and everything is very well laid out. It's typical Hyundai, which means that, you know, the buttons and all feel very nice to touch. I really do like these rotary knobs for the aircon unit, and even the infotainment system that is neatly integrated to the dashboard and, you know, doesn't stick out and block your sight.
I know, but it's only an 8-inch touchscreen as opposed to the 10.2-inch screen you get on the Sonet, which is also high resolution, and you get a semi-digital instrument cluster as well.
Well, but then the Venue does have a lot of other features that cars in this segment does not have. You know, you get the sunroof, you get a wireless charging, and overall it's quite easy to see why it is such a popular choice in its segment.
I know, but I think the Sonet is going to win against this because it just gets that much more extra bit of kit. So I think we should just pop into that one and see what's what.
Okay, yeah.
Now what did I tell you about the interior of the Sonet? It is just that much more uplifting, definitely premium. Lot of piano black touches. Of course, what sticks out is this massive 10.2-inch touchscreen that is just so responsive and crisp. You also get the semi-digital instrument cluster. The steering for this GT trim especially is nice and sporty, lots of red stitching. These buttons get this nice piano black with metal finish. It just feels so premium. And what are the additions? Of course, are a ventilated seats, a segment first. You know how helpful that is. You also get wireless charging like you get on the Venue. You have a sunroof, and of course you have parking sensors as well on the front and the rear. You have a camera. It just has everything the Venue has and then some. So why would you pick the Venue in terms of features at least?
However, I'm not really sure about those aircon vents. You know, they feel very cluttered. It feels like a very old calculator, don't you think so?
The center console is a bit cluttered. I would have preferred like the knobs you get on the Venue. It's just that much easier. On this, you do have to fiddle around to get those settings right. It feels a bit dated and old school. But apart from that, the entire cabin is a lot more plush and premium, don't you think?
Yep.
Now the back seat is where some customers would also like to be. But just like the Venue, like we mentioned, it's the same platform. Space is still a problem. I mean, yes, you do get an extensive feature list. You do get the USB port, some space to keep your phone, these rear AC vents. You also get a center armrest with 2 cup holders. But like on the Venue, it is just too tight for people above 6 feet.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look at my knees. They're almost touching the front, seat. And I would have really appreciated a bit more space. What I really do like is this air purifier with the integrated virus protection. You know, it's quite a good addition to have in the current times. Also, a lot of people would really appreciate the Bose sound system. Adds to that immersive sound experience. It's exclusive to the Sonet. What's also exclusive is this nice nifty pocket on the back of the seat. Very nice place to put your phones and, you know, other knickknacks in. The quality of materials, again, very good finish all around, except the space.
Yeah, but if you plan to sit 3 people here, it's not a good space. I know the window area is enough, but there just isn't enough room. And this is obviously not the seat to be in the Sonet.
Yeah, let's hop to the front then, shall we?
Yeah.
Cool.
Now performance is where both these SUVs are at par with each other. Of course, they share the same plethora of engine and gearbox options, but today what we have for both of these is the 1-liter turbo petrol engine mated to the 6-speed IMT gearbox. Now that just makes things a lot more convenient. And what we love about this engine is just its characteristics. It likes to rev hard. It has that pep and grunt in the mid-range. What I do miss on the Sonet though is that fully manual gearbox that is an option on the Venue. It just goes such a long way having that extra clutch pedal. It makes the drive a lot more engaging, and that's really been given a miss on this one. What's also nice, I think, is the ride. I think it's a bit more softer. What do you think?
Yeah, I certainly do agree. I mean, as compared to the Venue, the Sonet feels a little bit more softer and a little bit more plush, and what that translates to is a very nice ride quality, in the city, out on the highway as well. And a few additional bits that I also admire. For instance, exclusive to the Sonet is this sunglass holder, which is quite a good addition. Also, both the vehicles get a wireless charging port, but in the Sonet, it's very well integrated into this central console. You have a very nice place to fit in your phone. And of course, there is no denying the fact on a hot sunny day, these ventilated seats are such a huge blessing. I mean, while Jay is driving, I am relaxing and just enjoying the drive. It's a very good addition.
Even I get ventilated seats.
Oh yes, that's true. But hey, I don't get the wheel, so at least I get ventilated seats, and that's what I'm happy about. So,
well, you can enjoy the Bose audio system. You are a big audio fanatic.
Oh yes, listening to music in the Sonet does feel much more immersive. I even feel the packaging of the speakers is quite tight, and to add to that is that ambient mood lighting, which also syncs to the music, so there is that little pulsating effect.
Yes, having features is all well and good, but for those who like to drive, the Sonet is really something that will impress them, because even though the suspension is just slightly bit softer, it doesn't make a big difference. There is no body roll. It handles very car-like. There's none of that pitching and bobbing that you get with an SUV. So it's all very nice. For someone who enjoys driving, especially like me, this is a very good car. Just miss that clutch. Seriously miss it. Now we've seen that in terms of driving, the Venue and the Sonet aren't too different, but ergonomically there are some big differences. The first one is this layout of the dashboard and this interior. Now on this sports trim, you get this nice flat bottom steering wheel, lots of red stitching, very sporty to hold. And I know that I said in the Kia you get that more modern looking semi-digital instrument cluster, but personally I think these old school dials look quite nice. I mean, I like the way the needles move about. It just adds to that whole sporty character.
Oh, I definitely agree. Same, even I prefer these analog dials and needles. And as you mentioned, the ergonomics are different, and you would notice that the dashboard sits a bit lower, and that aids to better visibility through the windscreen, and I quite like that. I also appreciate this slot here above the glove box to put in my phone, my wallet and other knickknacks. It's a very good addition to have. And then the sports treatment on this Venue is carried forward throughout the cabin, which means you get red accents on the aircon vents, you get these red accents on the aircon unit itself, the controls, and this red stitching on the seats, and it's throughout the cabin in those small places, adds to that sporty appeal. Quite a lot of things. Now the only thing missing, the only thing lacking on the Venue, I feel, are front ventilated seats and Bose sound system. I mean, better speakers would have made this a better sounding cabin. But otherwise, it's quite good. It definitely gets enough features. It's packed quite competitively.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you do get a lot. You get the sunroof, you get wireless charging, you get 6 airbags. And apart from the features, if you are someone who really likes driving, this Venue is an absolute gem. Of course, we've seen the engine, it likes to drive. And the biggest plus is that you can also have this engine with a fully manual gearbox, which means, of course, it also gets a clutch, and that extra control just goes a long way to make your drive that much more engaging.
Definitely. And then we did mention while we were driving the Sonet that the suspension is a little bit more plush and softer, but honestly it doesn't feel that much different, right?
Yeah, it is a bit firm. It has that hint of firmness, but I think overall it won't be a problem. It is quite flat and stable at high speeds. That is something owners appreciate a lot. It doesn't feel like it's moving about in the lane. It's very planted, and that's a very nice, reassuring feel. Now, at the beginning of the day, you were quite confident that the Sonet was going to take on the Venue and win really easily. Do you have the same thoughts?
Well, I think so. It's quite a tough battle between these two, but then the Venue comes backed by Hyundai's extensive dealer network throughout India, and it's quite feature-loaded as well.
Well, you talk about features. I don't need to tell you separately, the Sonet gets a lot more than the Venue, and these are features that are really important as well. So it definitely is ahead already.
Well, I agree to that, but what do you think? Will the Sonet take the Venue crown?
Honestly, I'd love to prove you wrong and to be against you, but in this, I think I have to side with you. Yes, it definitely can. It has all the makings of that winning crown, but the Hyundai is such a strong brand, the Venue is such a popular car that it will take some time before the Sonet reaches there, but it is definitely on the right track.
Well, then I think we both are on the same page.
I think we are. The days come to an end. I think we should head off.
Cool, let's do that.